To make real change in the world, you're going to want to get out there in your community. You're going to want to organize, activate, and protest. You may even want to become a politician. Hi, I'm Hank Green, and here is how to get involved. We have researched all of the different paths you can take to becoming a politician. We'll tell you all of the formal training options, the more grassroots options, and even where to start or try out politics and see if it's right for you. Now, being a politician isn't all the glamour of kissing babies and bribing journalists with hundreds of dollars stuffed into a chip bag. Broadly speaking, a politician is just anyone who is engaged in politics and government. So that means there are tons of ways to make politics your job at every level of government, from running campaigns to liaising with the press to actually holding office. Just think of all the people who are on that show, The West Wing. They seemed like nice folks. That cast was very big. CJ could still keep them all in line, though. We often think about elected officials being politicians, but politicians also include appointees, or those selected for office by other politicians, staff, or the people hired by an elected or appointed politician to help them do all the political stuff they do. They can also count as politicians. Let's start with the more formalized training that exists, but don't worry, we will quickly get to all the back channels too. For most people, becoming a politician all starts with a college degree, especially in something like political science, public policy, economics, international relations, public administration, or history, since politicians have to be able to deal with all of those things on the job. And in all of those majors, you will learn some basics about how governments work, the philosophies they're based on, and how they can impact society. But it isn't just about what classes you take during your college career, it's also about how you spend your time outside of the classroom. A lot of colleges have tons of political clubs and extracurriculars you can get involved in. Some of these might fall along political alignments. Think college Democrats or college Republicans or Young Democratic Socialists of America. But there are also a lot that are totally nonpartisan and more about political engagement in general. Like Columbia has Columbia Votes, which raises voter awareness. The University of Michigan has the Michigan Journal of Political Science and the Undergraduate Political Science Association. And tons of schools have chapters of Pi Sigma Alpha, which is the National Political Science Honor Society. All of these clubs and organizations can be a great opportunity to engage in some pretty high-level discussions, deepen your political understanding, and make connections outside of your Principles of Public Administration class. But for many politicians in the making, formal schooling doesn't stop with a bachelor's. A ton of future politicians pursue a grad degree, too. This is also a good formal entry point for folks who majored in something less obviously related to politics, like math or biology. You might decide to go for a master's in political science, public administration, public policy, stuff like that. But by far the most common route for many politicians is to pack your bags and pull an Elle Woods, just head off to law school. Law school is a great fit for politicians because no matter what level of politics you work at, you're going to need a really comprehensive understanding of laws, policies, and government processes to do your job. Plus, law school is notoriously challenging and will help you build soft skills that will serve you throughout your career, like research, communication, constructing an argument, critical thinking, and reading 300 pages of legal text in an evening. In fact, over half of all US presidents held law degrees, and as of 2025, about 180 members of Congress are lawyers, making it the most well-represented profession. Of course, this academic route doesn't work for everyone, and just because you're good at school doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be a good politician, and vice versa. Plus, it can take a whole lot of time to get those degrees under your belt, and that time could be spent out there in the world making a difference. Luckily, there are a whole lot of other ways to get into politics, because when you get right down to it, there are technically no specific educational requirements to become a politician. In fact, 12 presidents of yore didn't even hold a college degree. These days, you probably will be expected to hold a bachelor's degree for most political positions. But even still, there are a whole lot of ways to get into politics without ever setting foot in a poli-sci classroom. Like instead of splashing around in the academic wading pool, you might cannonball directly into your political career by getting involved in local politics. You could volunteer for a campaign or sit on a community board. This is going going to help you make community connections, gain experience and understanding about the issues facing your area and how to solve them, and maybe get some name recognition. From there, you could begin campaigning yourself and even start to work your way up to state or even national politics, particularly if you live in a large city with a lot of political clout like New York, Chicago, or San Francisco. In fact, a lot of big-name politicians on the national stage got their start in local politics. Take John Hickenlooper from Colorado. Hickenlooper got a bachelor's in English and a master's in geology. After being a geologist and founding one of the first brew pubs in Colorado, he built his political reputation by engaging with local business efforts and eventually became mayor of Denver, then governor of Colorado, then senator. Or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's represented New York's District 14 in the US Congress since 2019. She got her start in politics by working as a volunteer organizer in the Bronx while serving and bartending to pay the rent before getting elected to Congress in 2018. Both of these politicians were heavily involved in their communities, which can be an effective way to climb the political ladder. On the other hand, the current president of the US, Donald Trump, was another political outsider who managed to break into the scene using very different tactics from politicians like Hickenlooper and Ocasio-Cortez. As the son of a real estate tycoon, Trump leveraged his generational wealth and celebrity status to launch his political career in his very late 60s, running for and winning the presidency in 2016, his first ever political campaign. In fact, Trump was the first US president ever to take office with zero political or military experience. So really, there is no one way to get into politics. But with a field so wide open, figuring out where to start can feel a little intimidating. Luckily, there are a lot of ways to try out this career without opening yourself up to press scrutiny and a life of pantsuits and muted tones. If you went to law school and got that degree, your first real-world step to a career in politics might be clerking for a judge or some other government internship. You could also consider interning or applying for entry-level positions either within the government or at nonprofit political organizations like Americans for Democratic Action, the Center for American Progress, or so many others. But if you want to jump straight into tackling the issues that matter to you most, you might decide to skip the job hunt and instead spend your time getting involved in local politics. That might mean getting involved in your local neighborhood politics by going to neighborhood meetings, city council meetings, or school board meetings, since these are usually open to the public. They can help you get a taste for how local politics run. Some local governments even have volunteer positions. Or you might consider volunteering on someone else's political campaign. This will give you an inside look at how the sausage is made, and might even give you some important connections if you do decide to get into politics yourself somewhere down the road. If you decide you want to run for elected office yourself, you're also going to want to start campaigning to ensure you get the votes you need to emerge victorious. After all, nobody's going to vote for you if they don't know who you are or what you stand for. If you're still in school, there's no shortage of opportunities meant to replicate the responsibilities and hard choices of politics. Like you could run for student council and guide the student body into a new era where the cafeteria serves tots instead of fries. It's no Middle East peace process, but somebody's got to do it. And lots of schools also have programs like Debate Club, Model UN, or Youth in Government, where you can explicitly try your hand at role-playing the real issues politicians face, like brokering peace in the Middle East. For real, for fake. Another benefit to trying out the political lifestyle is seeing exactly what a politician spends their time doing. It's going to depend a whole lot on what kind of politician they are. Basically, the mayor of Elko, Nevada, with a population of 20,000 is going to have a very different job description than one of New York's House Representatives, who's going to have a really different job description than the White House press secretary. But generally, politicians are responsible for advocating for the needs of the people they represent by making laws and policies, responding to community-wide emergencies, and collaborating with both other politicians and private companies to make positive change. And no matter what kind of politician you are, you're gonna have a lot of plates spinning. Politicians have to spend time keeping up with current events, reading briefs and proposals, and probably writing them too, meeting with other politicians as well as citizens, and campaigning and fundraising. And since the world can turn on a dime, politicians have to be able to too. So in addition to a deep yearning to make the world a better place, politicians need strong communication and leadership skills and the ability to keep cool under pressure. And just like a politician's job description is gonna really vary based on their specific specific position, their salary is going to vary too. Like the president is paid around $400,000 a year, while a governor might make as little as $70,000. Members of the House of Representatives make a set salary of $174,000 a year, plus housing and transportation costs, with the opportunity for a little pay bump if they take on additional titles or responsibilities. And where you work is going to make a big difference to your salary too. The mayor of New York City makes over $250,000, while the mayor of Elko, Nevada recently got a raise and now makes $20,000 a year as of 2024. But of course, most politicians are not doing it for the money. They are in it for the intoxicating taste of power. No, they're in it for the ability to make a real difference in people's lives. It can be pretty easy to spend your day preaching to the choir and your evening doom scrolling the gram, but if you really want to make a difference, it's gonna take more than reposting that news story. Certainly working as a politician is a fast-paced, demanding job. You'll have to work long hours and make impossible decisions for the greater good of those around you, and you won't always have time to stop and smell the roses. But if you want to make a real difference in how the country runs and fix some of those problems that keep us all up at night, being a politician might just be the ticket. Explore your undergrad major options with our Fast Guide series, where we break down what you'll study, common pitfalls, and possible career options. And check out GoStudyHall.com for more college resources. Thanks for watching. See you next time.